Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would start a build video here with the objective of building a legacy combat CV. So I got inspired a little bit. I was looking at, I just came across a random picture of a ship from a game called X4, and I don't even know the name of the ship. I'm not trying to recreate that ship. I'm just trying to. I looked at it and I was like, kind of identifying what it was made of, and basically several different big shapes that are kind of slapped all together. So that's kind of what this one is about. But I was looking at the general shape and design of the ship, and I was like, that would make a pretty good layout for a combat CV in Imperium. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. But I'm not really following that. Again, I don't even know the name of the ship. But anyway, let's get started here. So first thing I'm going to do here is, I threw down a pedestal here for a CV, and that is about it. Now its base construction blocks are going to be of hardened steel on this one. However, that's not really talking about the armor. That's just its base material. So on the front side of this, again, it's going to have a lot of armor, and it's a legacy ship. And I figure, if I build this while doing some videos on it too, I could probably get a lot of input, feedback, and comments, on how many layers of armor and blah, blah, blah. I also got out some of the big guns over here because I'm going to definitely try to fit in a lot of like tier 2, tier 3 type of weaponry and a lot of turret mount positions. Whether they all get used or not, I don't really care. It's really about having positions to outfit the ship the way you want to outfit the ship. And there could be a lot of different loadouts and things like that. So to explain what's going on here with the ship now, obviously I just got a pedestal. So let's just say this is the total length of the ship right now. And if I were to divide this into 4 different chunks, like let's say it doesn't quite measure out to, I wasn't even trying to measure it out to the this, but that would have actually worked. I guess it doesn't really matter though. A lot of this will probably change. So what I'm going to do here is let's get a top line going across here for now. And I'll have that kind of go out to about where the base pedestal is. Shouldn't fall over, I don't think. So about there, that's good enough. Okay, so let's just say that we're going to divide this into 4 pieces. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I'm not going to really try to count out the numbers. It's not really important. So let's just say that we've got chunk 1 is going to be everything from this point forward. And we're going to do chunk 2, which is good. We're going to say it's going to come to about, I don't know, here. Again, a lot of this stuff could change and get moved around and copied and pasted and stuff like that. Well, that's chunk 2. Chunk 3, let's bring this back line all the way out too. So this is I'm kind of wireframing the start of this just to kind of get a proportion idea. And I think I'm a little off already, but okay, so let's say chunk, put another chunk here. Okay, so we got these dividing lines, they're not even measured out right. And again, I don't really care. And this is probably a little bit too long, but we'll see how that works out. Here, I'll shave it off a few blocks on the back there. Okay, so we got 3 different chunks. Now, I'm going to actually start at chunk 3, which honestly I think is probably needs to come a little bit further back. So here, let me move this line, how about a couple more blocks this way. We'll get rid of that. And we'll move this one back a few blocks this way too, or a couple blocks. Okay, so chunk 3. I think that'll work. The nose might get extended out a little bit more, and the back might get shaved off a little bit more, but I think that'll work. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I want to do some angled lines. I got to figure out how wide I want this area to start with, and this is the first shape, the first big shape. Basically, it's do something about like that. I kind of wanted it wide enough so it could hold some parts, but not too wide. So let's do an angle up here, and guess I'll grab some wedge blocks for that. And I want to bring this up maybe about 4 blocks, doing like this type of pattern here. So let me kind of set those up a little bit, and I'll do this kind of thing quite a bit so I can get those blocks in place without swapping blocks constantly, basically. I'll put an angle line here too. And then let's say it goes up, let's say a nice 3 blocks. This is pretty tall on this particular part. And then it's going to come back inward, but yeah, let's change the angle to a 45 here as it comes in. That's going to kind of round up to the center area a little bit. So let's see. Actually, not quite right there. I think what I'm going to do is take this bottom section down one more to that location instead. That's pretty tall right here. I don't know how this is going to come out. This is really kind of very much a concept again. And I almost think, you know what, one other change I want to make while I'm getting this set up here. Let's just take this down to there instead. So it's not quite as tall, a little bit wider. It's probably deviating already from the original shape design there. Yeah, okay, let's bring this up one more this way. And then we'll just kind of put a line across here. Okay, so we've got kind of an outline of a shape here. And that shape I want basically to extend to the next point here. So I'm going to turn off symmetry a minute, do a little bit of copying and pasting here. Let me get rid of that cursor there. We'll grab this part. Well, grab this line. Again, it's like drawing on a piece of paper. Like doing like a wireframe a little bit, but in 3D of a spaceship. Okay, so I'm a little off on that, but I don't care. Anyway, let's copy that. I'll bring it back to here. Now, actually, I think that's a little too long too. Yeah, I'm gonna change this. Let's put it to about there. I just want to count out the numbers here. The blocks. I do want an odd number and not an even number here. So I think we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 9. Well, 10. Okay, that's not cool. One more. Let's have it 9 blocks in between those two zones there. We'll paste this in place. Okay, so if there were lines here, let me get that off and turn on symmetry again. Snag one of these blocks. We'll just kind of put a couple lines in here. Something like that. So we get an idea on the big shape. Okay, so we got chunk 1. Okay, so from this chunk, it's going to have another chunk that goes in front of it. Now, this is going to be its own, like, defined shape back here, and this other one's going to be a little bit more rectangular and a little different, and it's going to kind of be made to look like they are separate parts. So a bit of a divider in here, and some of this is going to get beveled off as well on this part. But let's kind of do this chunk. One thing I was thinking about doing a little bit is trying to keep this maybe so it kind of matches the same angle a little bit, but not entirely. So let's do just a smidgen of these kind of coming up here, about 2 of those, and kind of conforming to the same shape, which I don't necessarily want to. Let's change this one around though. Let's square that off, and then we'll come back in at a 22.5 here. Something like that. And this part is going to be a little lower than the top part, but not by much. So here, let's oops, darn it. Do something like that, and let's say we come to here. We'll try it, see how this works out. Everything's going to get modified and changed and stretched and everything like that as well. Okay, so we got our secondary shape. Let's do a little bit of copying on that. So something about like that, and let's move this back to, just give it a little bit of space in between that and the other shape. So let's go here with it. So I'll keep it in like 1 block. Actually, I'm gonna bring it up 2 blocks, just so in case we want to put a 22.5 angle there, we can fit it. All right. So then it's got the front section of the ship. Nope. Now let me also get rid of, I guess it already did. All right, so the front section of the ship is going to be a little different shape again and kind of longer. In fact, this part probably will get extended out a few more blocks this way. And this is really up to however I feel like doing it at the end on what the front trunk of the ship is going to look like. It's going to be a little bit smaller than this chunk. And maybe I'll try to conform to some of the same angling there, but just keep it a little bit smaller for now. So let's do a line, and maybe angled also on the front, but let's do this back line here. So I'll do it 2 blocks in front, and what I'm going to try to do is raise it up by a block, and then yeah, let's start angling out around here just a little bit. I'm trying to keep that same general angle going on here, but a little bit smaller, of course. And it kind of, some of this is going to be probably shaped a little bit different than what I'm doing too. So, again, this is very, very rough at this point in time on how this is being done here. Let's just kind of go across about like that. Get rid of some of the extra blocks in there. And this line doesn't exist anymore here. So here, let's just get rid of that. Let's actually kind of go in below where it should be. I don't really know how this is going to come out. You know, it's experimental again. It's just one way to build, I guess. There's several different ways. A lot of times, a lot of builds, I'll start from, like, a lot of times the front and work my way to the back. This one's just kind of trying to come up with an interesting shape design that will work in game for the kind of CV it's supposed to be. And this might do it, maybe. It's probably going to get a lot of modifications, though, and changes along the way here. So, is that far enough up? Yeah, let's put it there. That'll work for now. Alright, so then, let's get rid of that selection and get symmetry back on it. What I wanted to try to do here is do a bit of a bevel, kind of sloping upward a little bit here. So, let's get in some different blocks that can accommodate that. Probably this wedge set here for the time being. I think that'll work. So let's get some of those in place. And we're going to get some of these bigger ones in place here too. I'm going to have to do something about like that. We'll get rid of that back one. And here as well. Alright, now we can kind of take some of those other blocks and put them over there. Okay, so now the point is I want to angle this. So let's get rid of that one there. We kind of set this up to put in one of these blocks, which is unique. And we got a couple different variations of this too. We could have it kind of come to more of a point, but I'm kind of going for more of the blunt edge on it. Something about like that. Yeah, I think that might work. And we'll see how it goes from the front here. Here, let's just square this off at the front. And I'm not sure on the top yet. Let's get these other little side blocks in too. Something like that. Looks like I'm missing one of these here. And here. Alright. And rotate. Whoops. Rotate that around. Get one of those there. Now, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try to make that come out like that. Alright, so we got a bit of that going on here. Let's bring out this shape here. Just trying to get an idea of what it's looking like so far from a distance. I think one thing honestly, I kind of wanted, yeah, maybe this should come out to the same depth as the other piece in front of it. So let's drop this down one more here. Like that. Okay. So far, those shapes are there. Okay, so now there's going to be some more things happening with the big shapes. Again, this is still part of the wireframe. So everything that is done so far is just for layout. Most of these blocks will probably get changed. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so just kind of squaring that up a little bit. Okay, so now we got this part here. Now what happens after this point is I want to give it a little bit of a transition period. Let's say 4 blocks this time. So I got that at 5. And I'm doing 4 blocks so I could do like a double 22.5 degree angle if I wanted to as an option. And if I got 4 blocks, it takes 2 blocks to do each 22.5 degree. So that'll work out pretty good here. So what takes place beyond this point is I want to find like a general center position in the main mass piece here. In this case, I think, God, should I put it right to the angle or not? I don't know yet. I'll have to figure this one out. But here, again, I assure you probably don't know what I'm talking about, as I'm pretty cryptic at what I'm saying here. It's hard to visually describe something. All right. I'm trying to find a proper place to start these things, and that might change up a little bit on the top to match this too. So what we're going to be having here is 4 angled like thruster housing units, and I want to make sure that they can accommodate the right size thrusters and look kind of neat, hopefully. So let's just say we've got. And they might get spread apart a little bit more too. I think I'm actually a little, yeah, they should come out actually to the outer edges here. So I'm off. Let me fix that right now. And actually, I want them to go, how about 1 past that even? So we'll start there. And I'll go at least 4 blocks here. And I'm not sure what kind of thrusters I want to put in here quite yet. I'm kind of steering towards the 2x2x4 thrusters and 4 of them because it kind of needs that for the set to match. And if I did do that, I would want, I don't know. So I'd love to put in more and have angled thrusters and kind of double them up a little bit, but here, let's get rid of all this junk here. So we got some lines there, and then let's have a break in it. Let's go. This is kind of just measuring out, but let's go down 3. And we'll flip that. And this isn't going to be actually there in the center. Alright, I I did grab some of these thrusters too. I don't know if I want to start them at this location. But let's, let's add a few more blocks to this so I got something to kind of attach them to. Oops. Ah, no, go this way. Ah! I want to stretch out. There it goes. Alright, and it's kind of as a placeholder here. Did want to put these back a little bit into the build because it's going to need strafing thrusters back here too. And maybe reverse thrusters too. Yeah, you know what? This needs to be longer. Something like that. Here, let's just do it like that so we can keep the angle solid, and we would do the same thing on the bottom side here. Okay, so all this is gone to probably almost get rid of that whole area there. Alright, so far, sort of. It's not quite what I envisioned, but we're going to work it. We're going to work it, see how this comes out. Put in some of these lines there. Okay, so it's pretty skinny right now. Now, the picture that I seen, it had a had a bridge that really went far into the air. Like there was a bridge that came up from this journal piece here and was way up there. I don't know if I'm going to actually do that part of it because I don't think that'll work out too well. But what I did want to do is coming off from this shape, I wanted to build out some kind of like attachment pieces that would come out from here. Basically to hold guns, maybe some thrusters and things like that. So let's just kind of wireframe this out a little bit from here. I'll use some full blocks for it just to see how this is gonna work and how far I want it to come out right now. Kind of working. I think this will be an interesting design. I'm not, again, when I start some of these, I really don't know what it's going to turn out to be. Just kind of trying different build concept ideas and stuff like that. Let's get in some blocks around here to make it look a little fuller. I was kind of building a ship in different chunks too. So we've got these several different pieces. Now, before I get too far into here too, what I really want to do early on with this build is plan out positions for weapons and of course thrusters as well, so I can kind of get those set up. So I did grab some tier 3 launchers and tier 2 launchers, and even some of these other parts and regular old turrets here. I know the tier 1 stuff is only 1 block wide, so those are a little easier to fit, but the other ones I think be kind of cool if they had some more stuff there. And now one other thing I was thinking about doing on this as well is maybe have a little flange area out on the front that kind of goes off the sides here a little bit too. But what I'm seeing is I got my base, this part here is coming out to this position, kind of in the center point. And over here, I'm 1 block above that. So I think I would be better served if I kept everything uniform. So that flare out is going to be at the same general height going across the ship to kind of dial in the hull here. So what I'm going to do is I'll add a block row there, and then we'll get rid of this layer here, basically just kind of moving it without copying it. And then after I do that, So now this surface lines up to that surface. This surface up here is a little bit different. But let's do like a little flare out. Here, I'll move it back a little bit though. A smaller flare out here. So let's just say, oh wow, I chewed through a lot of 1,000 blocks. They go fast. I feel like I just placed a block somewhere I didn't want to. Okay, let's keep an odd number here as well. And come back in here. Alright, so on this part, let's also build this up a little higher on the angle. Yeah, I think that should work. Let's, basically raising this area some. Okay, so also let's get some angles here. Probably 22.5 angle, I think, coming out this direction. So here, let's go to this end piece first, and we'll swap that out. There we go. Jeez. Trying to measure this out so it comes out right to the center. Ah, I just did it again. There we go. Just want to see how that looks in the grand scheme of things. Trying to get that. Again, like you're drawing the top view, well, different views of a spaceship on a piece of paper, trying to figure out how the parts are going to come together. Okay, let's do a little bit of angling around this section here as well. Yeah, I'm going to try to keep that line in place. Let's add to it. Let's get back over to this set of blocks here. There we go. More of those in, and we'll put in the last block here. Well, so far, I don't mind the overall wireframe shape. I think it will work, and yeah, okay. Let's try to get some more turret thingies on here. Now here, this is like going straight and not beveled at all here, and it does have to tie into the side. So I don't think that's going to be a big problem here, though. Yeah, let's put in, I guess one of these for now. Something like that. I don't know. Okay, so that's not quite. Let's change this angle, or angle these flat square blocks here. Since we did it on the one side, let's try to do that to the back side too. So I got to figure out where that's going to all line up. Oops. There we go. That's a while. Yeah. Alright. That'll work. So let's bring that out a little bit more to here. And then to there. Let's get the other blocks in here. I have to figure out how the tips are going to be there too. Okay, so a little bit, yeah, a little bit different there. All right, so that same the same shaping here should be applied to the other extensions out there as well. Keep everything again uniform. So let's grab one of those and we'll put that in there, and then do the angle from. Oh, that ain't quite working. That's all right though. Let's just keep it like that for now. I think that might look all right, maybe. Get another row of these going. Ah. There we go. Some of these in there. And actually, in this case, yeah, that's just the wrong block there. That's why it's not really working. Should probably be that one. Yeah. Alright, now that part's angled. Front side. Let's do one more angle here on the back side. I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't. That part should be longer too. There's supposed to be a bigger extension out over here. Well, it's not supposed to be. It's what I want it to be. All this stuff that I'm doing with these flare outs, that's not part of the original design either. That's just something I figured would be very helpful for building a combat ship and potentially look cool. Well, here, I tell you what, we'll put this in here now. We'll start the angle there, and then I might stretch this whole area out with a little copying and pasting. Yeah, that's too squatty in the back right now. So yeah, let's do let's change this a little bit. It's supposed to be, I mean, a decent sized ship, but it's not going to have a lot of interior space either. These front trunks here, it's going to have probably some light guns on it and stuff you can lose pretty easily. Maybe a couple thrusters or small thrusters, decoys. The second chunk is going to be more of the same. The interior space and where the more important parts and stuff would be in here, and then this rear section here is going to be thruster housings. Now I haven't really thought about if I want this to have a hangar and that kind of thing yet. I don't know. It's really kind of just a dedicated ship to take a beating and put out a lot of firepower. Of course, I'm going to try to also get this so it can operate at a core 9, and but then can be upgraded beyond that. So that's another game plan goal there. Okay, so on the original design, it had, I'll just kind of wireframe it out a little bit on what I remember at least. It had a bridge that came up kind of at a pretty steep angle, actually, like a 22.5 degree angle that went up actually pretty far above the ship, but I'm not going to go as far as it had, but it's going to go something like that. Then it will probably go to a 45 and oops, and I don't know if that's going to quite cut it. This would be like a first-person bridge if I decide to keep it. I don't know if that's going to stick around or not, though. Let's do a 22.5 on the back. So, but yeah, it would have to be taller and sloped. Kind of want to maintain that angle here. Let's get some 22.5s out. Dial that line in a little bit better. It would have a wider neck to it too, but something along those lines. Again, I don't know if I'm going to want that there or not, though. But it kind of works. It kind of works. If you wanted a first-person bridge, of course, it would have a third-person bridge inside this area below. Now let's just extend this up. So let's see, we would have that block, and then this block, and this would be the roof of the bridge. And then it should start sloping or angling when it comes out a little bit here. That's not quite wide enough. It's got to be wide enough, otherwise it's not going to look good either on this part. So I think that would need to come out to here. Let's do something, let's use a different block. Let's go to this. These are pretty neat. This is a block that I largely did not ever use for a very long time in building, and then finally was kind of forced to use the block building the Empyrion Tachi, which had a section of the ship like this, and I realized that I actually really like the block, and it can look really good if done right, in the right place at least. Alright, so on the bottom side, let's figure that the neck is going to be 3 blocks wide. So if we started at an angle here, actually not even that angle, let's do the slopey thing. Something like that, and this would be actually part of the neck here. How's that going to work out? Let's try to bevel this neck. Yeah, that doesn't quite come out right yet. Let's steal that block a minute. Hard to see with the light now. It's weird because I kind of almost want to do a transition where I'm sloping the opposite direction, but there's not like a weird transition slope block to make that quite happen. These are those parts that you get a little hung up on trying to do the actual block work there to see how that's going to work. Here, let's do this, and I did want to keep that line. Well, you know what? Let's try to put in, just to bevel that out, one more there. I might be trying to do too many bevels in here. You know what the big problem is? Yeah, I shouldn't do this right here. This bridge, the front of the bridge is supposed to actually come out more blocks than what it is above the, or beyond the, where the neck is. So, let's bring that out a little bit more. Move some of these blocks. And we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that too. Okay, so let's tone this one down now. Let's go to the next size smaller. Modify that one. Now, and actually, we'll just kind of square this off here. Yeah, it's going to be a different design than I've done before. But always seeking to do something different than what I've personally done before, at least. I do get ideas from other authors, so not going to lie on that. And the back, let's just, here, let's put something like that in there. So now that comes up a little bit past the front of the neck. Let's get rid of some of that. I don't think that's quite enough. I think it needs to come out more yet. So here in this case, let's just do a little copy paste thing. Clear my block selection, and let's start copying it from about there. Something about like that, I think should work. And we'll do a copy, paste, and let's see, should we go out a full 3 or 2 blocks? Now let's go back one. Pull up to there. Okay. Alright, so I don't mind that so much. Obviously it's pretty high up in there. I gotta leave room in here for like an elevator or something. That's why it's gotta be like a 3 block wide neck coming up. But I think it should work. I think it should work. Alright, let's get some other blocks in place here. And let's slope the back of the bridge down. I guess we're going to have to slope it at a 45. Kind of wanted to slope it at a 22.5, but I don't think that's possible with nice blocks and things. So let's figure out this angle, where it's going to start. And well, let's see what happens starting it there. if I'm gonna like that shape there or not. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I'm really quite on board with that. We could try to put in a 22.5 here. Let's go back to this set of wedge blocks. Problem is doing the transition from that to that, which might be able to be done. Kind of runs into a bit of a snag though, going with the block work on the front part of this maybe bridge. Maybe bridge. Yeah, I don't know if I like that flare up. That was what I was worried about by going to those blocks, that I couldn't do this angle here correctly. Let's take a look at some transition blocks. So there is that. Let's see if we got the right side or not. And that doesn't quite do what I'm looking to do either. Is there something that goes from that to that? I don't think that block exists. Kind of need like a different version of that one. These don't do it. I don't think. Now that would do something like that. But you know, might be able to work. Let's try that. Oh, that's backwards. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really on board with that slope either. Kind of like going out too far, I think, maybe. What if we try to match that angle here? Ah, it's dorky. Alright. I tell you what, I think I might revisit the bridge. So far, not really on board with any of those shape patterns there. I don't mind the front though. That angle like that. Maybe I should do similar on the back. And let's just say this bridge actually came back a little further too. Here, I know. Let's get rid of the side full blocks there, and let's put that to these. And I think the bridge technically should probably come back a little further too, to make that look right. And I always do have the option to drop this part down too. It's I put it up there a little bit higher. The actual ship I looked at, though, I mean, it was literally twice as tall. Like, it was way the heck up here. And I didn't want to go that far with it, basically. Alright, so let's try to plan out some thrusters on this thing right now, too. So, thrusters are going to be important for thruster separation. Of course, I want it to maneuver as best I can get it to maneuver. And I'm a little worried about that because it's going to be a lot heavier ship than the typical shielded type ones that I would normally do, like the Ridge Rat or something like that. So what I'm going to have to think about, though, is where am I going to kick in some thrusters. I do want some thrusters on the somewhere around the front area of the ship, so you can get that good turning. And we'll also have a set of like strafing thrusters on the back side of the ship. I got to figure out how these are going to fit in place, and I don't want them like right up front to get blown out, because figure this front end is basically a big punching bag of things for the AI to shoot at. But yeah, I will also want thrusters somewhere in the area for steering purposes. So, and I would like to try to protect the thrusters too. I just don't, maybe I shouldn't use these. Yeah, you know, I don't want to use anything smaller than this size thruster on the ship. I just don't. The other ones fit a whole lot easier, that's for sure, but they also really don't provide very much thrust. Not enough for a heavier ship like this one, at least. So, is there a center point on that? Not really right now. There could be if I stretched it out, though. And this is going to be weird because these are too big to fit. Flush with the wall that's there right now. And yeah, the center point isn't quite right. Here, let's put these here. One block forward. Temporarily put those blocks back in place. And then quick copy and paste here. And what I want to do is, how's that going to work? Yeah, let's just grab it from here. Straight down. So I'm just gonna move this whole chunk up. Whoops, wrong button. One block here, so we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna do a cut this time. And a paste. Just kind of put it like that. Okay. All right. That back in. All right. So what we're gonna have to do is some kind of flare out. Basically, I just did that primarily so I could try to keep that thruster centered to this part here. So now we're gonna want something around the thruster here too to protect it, especially from the front side. I'm thinking what angle set I should be looking at for this. Now, there's a couple different ways to do it. One, I could just kind of bevel. Here, let's go there with it. I could bevel out this this area so it kind of complies to that. That is probably going to be the best answer for this chunk here, even though it's a different angle. Oh, it is a different angle. Let's go to the different wedge set. Now, I kind of want it to flare out a little bit here before the thruster. Like maybe so it's kind of tucked in a little bit better. See how this all works out. Alright, so now we got to make this tie into the other part. It's going to have to be a full. Somehow it's going to have to transition into that other slope. Or have a breakup, one of the two. Might end up with a breakup. What I mean by that is I will deliberately have a row that's different and doesn't align to either angle. That breaks it up basically. So let's just try to let's experiment with some curvies. Let's see what happens if we put just a random big curvy in this general area, and how would that actually work out. How about a slope curvy? I do like these new blocks here, though. So pretty cool. Can do some things with them. So let's say we put one of those there, and one like that, and then we'll put in that in the middle. And this has been a frequent solution to what do you do about angles that don't come together right. And that's kind of what this is about here. In fact, you know, I'm gonna go with the curvy a little bit more here. How about another block in? And we'll use the straight blocks there for that. And the straight curvies. Be something like that. And we could probably even get rid of that piece. And then if we did have blocks on the inside here, let's kind of tie together. Well, what does it look like if it just kind of butts up to that at the same angle? Not bad, maybe. Okay, so to keep the formation together, I'm going to try to reverse everything on this side here. Do the same thing, generally. I did on the other side too. I think so. Okay, so then we go from that to, I think the curvy starts there. Those blocks are out. Here, we'll steal it. And then we're going to go for a round off on the edge. These there. How's that working out? Interesting, but it did. Again, the whole point was trying to fit these big thrusters in here to have enough room between them. All right, so. This design is also going to have some Xeno. So certain areas, when I'm planning this out, I'll try to know where to bury the Xeno as well. But like between one thruster and the other, last thing I want is a chain reaction if one gets popped. Hopefully that doesn't kill the opposing side one, so I'll like put in a barrier like that. In fact, behind the scenes here too, on the front part of the ship here, I'll probably also try to get some Xeno in some of those locations as well, and I'll have to try to cover that up and make it look pretty from the outside. But just generally speaking, kind of see what's happening here at least. Let's get some more of that there. I'll go over the armor more later though. That'll be a thing when I really start getting into the interior portions of the ship here. Alright. Alright, well, a couple of strafing thrusters at least. Let's, now a ship like this, obviously I'm going to want it, it's going to be heavy, and I'm worried about these thrusters. Now, I could also go with the plasma variant of these thrusters. By the time you get to legacy space in the game, I would imagine you would have come across some plasma converters by then. But I don't know if I, again, want them on stock or not, because that does make it more difficult to bring in a ship. Alright, so that is one strafing thruster. Let's try to get maybe even 2 more per side in the back section of the ship here. I don't know how this is going to quite fit yet, but let's just say that we had... Oh man, I did want reverse thrust in here too. Oh, I didn't really plan out reverse thrust very good at all right now. I'm wondering if that back area should be a little bit bigger, but I didn't want it too big because that'll really kind of screw with the looks of the overall shape of this. But alright, let's just try to pop a couple in place. They could change their locations. I'm going to build out a little bit of a wall here so I can put it back a little bit more. I want to inset it in just a little bit. Okay, so we got strafing thrust there as well. So I'm also kind of like there's strafing thrust here, right? And center of mass, I'd have to recalculate that, save the ship and everything. But I would assume that the center of mass should be up a little bit higher than what this is, and a little lower than what this one is. And that's kind of good because it's going to help a little bit with some stats like turning and things like that. So I'm trying to do that. Again, so much stuff could probably will change before this thing is ready. Oh, it did let me put it there. Okay, so we got one there, and oh, I'm like off. Like, yeah, this top one needs to come up, I think. Or the other one needs to come down, one of the two. But I think having the higher position would be better on that. Okay, so we'll just count that right now as some strafing thrust. Again, this could probably be, there's enough room where this could be probably doubled up on the front too if I change that block work around a little bit. So for forward thrust, try to use the same thrusters. I thought about using drive thrusters or the really big ones, but I'm kind of scared to. I want to watch, you know, the overall cost of this and stuff too, and it could be fairly frightening here. So here's what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to try to put those on the inside a little bit. Just put a couple blocks here so I can kind of line these up. And here we'll put in the one with the open thruster housing on the back too. Let's say they sit back in here a little bit, and I just want to make sure that's angled correctly on. So we got the side wall, that'll work. So hopefully be able to make something look kind of neat there. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Trying to figure out what I did on the top there. So they should go one down from this angled row here, or one up from it. So something, let's put that in. A couple more like that, and dunk this in there. Okay, so we can get rid of some of these blocks for now. Alright. So forward thrust, again, you know, I'm not sure. They might have to go to plasma. Or maybe I even have to scale them up to some drive thrusters. Just a little worried about that and the whole CPU thing and whatnot at the time. So, alright, so reverse thrust. Reverse thrust is going to be a son of a gun like it normally is. I'm looking for places on the hull where maybe I could sneak some in that have a line of sight. I do try to keep a line of sight with thrusters. And in fact, you know, I'm seeing an area out here that is over the side of the hull that could accommodate such a thing here. Let's go with this model here. I'm gonna ease them back 1, 2. And it probably ought to have 4. Of these. This is gonna be a really weird setup. If it works. Oh, it's... See, this technically is blocking that other thruster there. Alright. Alright. Solution. Let's, I think the back could stand to be a little bit wider. So, we're going to do a little bit more, whoops. Copying and, or cutting and pasting. So what I'm going to do is just grab one side. Something like that. I'm just going to widen up the bridge too, which I'll have to probably narrow. Actually, no, let's not copy the bridge. We'll move this whole thing down here in a sec. Yeah, let's bring it down below the neck. And we got to go much further out the back. So something like that. And yeah, a little bit of cut. I think that looks good. And we're going to bring it out 1 block. And let's do the other side. And 1 block. Okay. So now the reverse thrusters clear the hull. That's kind of why that was done. And I actually think it would probably look a little bit better that way anyway. A little bit wider on the back, I guess. But I could also push these in a little bit if I wanted to as well. That is an option. Okay, so we got 4 reverse, 4 forward, 6 strafing right now. Okay, so we got to think about down thrust and lift thrust. Now, obviously, this kind of ship is going to be meant for space. So I don't want to put, you know, I want it to be able to like lift off a planet with like 1G gravity, but definitely not looking for like a heavy lift ship with a lot of storage and that kind of thing on it. But I'm thinking about running maybe 3 lift thrusters, maybe slop in 1. Oh, except they're 2x2 and it's 3 wide. That always sucks too. It's like, can't quite put in what I want here. And I don't really want to go with a drive thruster for lift. Alright, well, let's get back to the thruster housing back here. Let's try to get a couple of these placed, at least temporarily for now. Let's build up this wall here a little bit. One block away from the other thruster. Oh, you know what? I ought to go with a wider position if I'm doing this. What if it was something like that? Oh, that's gonna. Oh no, that screws up the angle here. Not good. All right. We'll just put them here for now. So okay. So we got a couple lift thrusters there, and this part here is gonna kind of suck. I'm still thinking about running 4 of these, but they gotta be, well, I really wanted 3. Alright, let's look at some numbers. I want to evaluate a ion drive thruster. So 24,000 CPU. Unlock level 15 is all. And these are 9600 CPU. Same unlock level. 64.8 thrust. 186. So one of these would kind of count as 2 of these. But it is still more expensive than 2 of those CPU wise. But I'm going to try it. Let's see how this works. It'll fit so much better, basically. So what I would do is then slam that in. Oh wait. Do I have now the right? There we go. Let's get the right thruster selected. I could slam it in here and it would fit correctly in the hull. Let's raise up this back wall here a little bit. That goes all the way to the top. Holy smokes. I guess there's going to be a block wall above the top of that too. And these things, again, they do have a lot of hit points too. And it's not the only lift thruster on the ship. So you're looking at 32,000 hit points for that. So if it gets popped, you're not out of commission. Same thing goes for the strafing thrust up there. You do have redundancy in the back. But you will lose some performance, of course, but you're not dead in the water if that gets destroyed. Alright, so down thrust, I'm thinking only 2 of the 2x2s for down thrust. Maybe I'll just put those directly only on the back. Let's see if we can put them like right above where the other ones were. Or lift back here. I would have to go there. Maybe not. You know, I wanted to preserve that angle there. So let's maybe I'll have to do that with the bottom thrusters too, but let's give it a little. Oh, I'm off. Something like that. And you know what? I think these should be doing that too. Area to mount it up against. Not enough area. Oh, just enough. Okay, so that is set up right there. Okay, so now we have lift, down, thrust, strafing thrust. Yeah, so that should be thrusters. At least general layout. Of course, once you get this, to this stage, you can start to nitpick things and move things around and tweak it, but kind of getting a ballpark idea, at least, of where you kind of want things. That should hopefully work out. Alright, so next part here, let's take a look at turrets and launchers and that kind of thing and try to pre-plan where some of that stuff is going. So obviously up front, often I'll put a really cheap turret on the front here. And what I ran into with the Ridge Rat 2 is I focused on a lot of tier 2 weapons, but you can only have so many of each tier on a creation, and I had too many tier 2s, not enough tier 1s and tier 3s. But whatever the primary launcher type weapon that the ship uses, I want to stack those a lot. And I wouldn't mind trying the idea of using like a lot of turrets, like even tier 1 laser turrets and stuff to take down a shield. But I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But I kind of wanted to have the launchers have a big hit when I do shoot that stuff. Basically, I want to be able to dig through the side of a hull of a ship as quickly as possible with actual like launchers. Okay, so this is kind of like your decoy turret. I mean, literally, it can still shoot, but it's at the very front of the ship, and it's probably going to get pegged right away. So it'll be a very cheap turret that goes there and remains there. Other places for turrets would probably be like here. I'm just giving it a little bit of a surface area right now. Let's try to center them there. And okay, so kind of like your front, I don't know, shoot me turrets, basically. And I want, okay, and that does not, not that, this whole line of sight thing with the thrusters, it really doesn't matter. The game doesn't care. It's just, I don't feel right having a thruster, where there's blocks out in front of it. Even if it's at a distance, it still bugs me. Because you just won't do that in reality. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I look at it. So down over here, it could also, of course, have another turret directly below there, or even hang it down like a block. Like if there was a little mount point here or something like that. I wouldn't mind doing that on this build because I keep them a little further apart, which is helpful in keeping them intact longer. And then same type of thing can go on this other wing set, maybe even double up the turrets here. In fact, this wing's kind of, let's change this. This isn't quite right. I think what I'm going to do is make it a little bit wider. See how it turns out. Oops. That. And that. And on the end here too, we're going to change this around a little bit too. Let's put in just a different block with some little beveled edges here. 45, I guess. Keep it kind of fresh. I could do that on the front ones too. Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. I can get a little bit more block detail in there. And okay, so the back side I probably ought to do that too. Something about like that. Just a little bit more room. And what I was trying to do is get it with enough room so I could put 2 turrets side by side here. Maybe the front and the bottom. So I'll give it a lot of turret positions here. Still got to think about launchers too. That's another big aspect there. Like one could be elevated too on the inside. But let's just let's try something like this. Maybe try to match that same angle a little bit. Something like that. So we got some more turrets back there. Just trying to identify their line of sight. It looks like they would have good line of sight where they are. I have thought about artillery turrets too. At least one. And the reason why I was thinking about one artillery turret is the fact that you can take control of it and blast things at a distance. But at the same time, I don't think that's really going to be very useful for the kind of fighting that this ship would do. I think that would be more useful on an HV tank. If you're attacking like a ground POI and you're out of range of its guns, but you can shoot it with a artillery round and aim it, I think that would be pretty useful. But yeah, I don't know about the artillery or not on this. Again, I'm trying to steer this ship around to have one type of fixed weapon that's very powerful, and then rely on the turrets for your shield takedown, shoot down the drones, and maybe some assist with taking out things, especially, you know, maybe some missile turrets and things like that. So I'm going to just try, hypothetically, let's try to put a lower set of turrets down here too. They might be a little too close. Like I kind of, I dropped the one down up on the top side, and I probably, you know, I probably should just do that back here too. It's going to be a little safer for the turrets if I did. Yeah, kind of placeholders here. We'll have to do like all their fancy block work later, but again, this is just layout right now. And okay, so we've got elevated surfaces up on the center area, and probably also, well, right now not so much on the bottom, but this bottom chunk here might actually come down another block row as well. In fact, let's just do that. And then that would create a position that can hang out below here and mount some turrets on that platform, up on this top area, and then up on this area above that turret, and so on. And that's kind of why this general shape of the ship, I was like, you know, that really could work for Empyrion, you know, combat CV type of ship, because of how it was set up, and you'd have a lot of different height variations and stuff like that. The biggest thing I was worried about is all the thrusters. Of course, the actual ship and the picture that I looked at didn't have, you know, strafing thrusters and reverse thrusters. It just had your forward thrusters, which is kind of typical, something you'd see more like Star Wars like stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm sort of happy with it. I'm actually kind of excited about this build. It is certainly unique. The bridge isn't really quite worked out though. That's pretty lame looking yet. I gotta come up with a better looking bridge area. But I kind of like the idea of it having an elevated bridge area, even if it's. I guess you could normally pilot the ship there, but it's gonna, you know, when you get into a serious fight, you're gonna be down in this chunk in the middle-ish area somewhere. Hopefully well protected from all things, and have a lot of crap in front of you and the bad guy ships. Yeah, okay. I think I'll stop this first video right here on it. Kind of got what I wanted to get done on this. Actually, went pretty quickly, overall speaking. And then I'll do another part here shortly and try to fit in launcher positions. And then after that, probably start getting into doing the block work and making it, trying to make it look pretty and all that fun stuff. So other than that, you all have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you later.